Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast. This is the Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. I finally managed to get this guest on board, and I'm very stoked and excited to have this particular person. It's like the coyote chasing the roadrunner. I've been chasing around New York, all around different parts of the world, as she's been traveling everywhere. And we finally got Kavita Gupta, who is the founding managing partner at Consensys, with us today. So thank you so much. We finally got you on the show.
Thank you so much, Craig. I apologize for all the reschedulings, but I'm so excited to be here finally.
Well, look, you said it before. I sort of trying to work out whereabouts you position yourself and where you live. And you said quite rightly, I live on the plane, but I pay taxes in San Francisco. So I totally understand that. But then, look, to kick things off, I think it's really important, a bit of your backstory first. For those that are listening that are not aware of where you've come from and how you've come to this space, you really have done some phenomenal things. You've worked at the World Bank. You've won UN awards for social finance innovators. I mean, can you just sort of take us through a bit of the journey that's brought you to where you are right now? Because I think it's a fascinating one and a really good backstory.
Thank you. So I started my career as every good Indian engineer does, which is in McKinsey. And so started working on a lot of financial products out there, was super fortunate to work in creating financial modeling directly for European Union for the new countries coming in. And from there, I joined the World Bank. I was working on the trading floor. And again, very fortunate to be part of one of the founding team members for green bonds, alternative investment strategies, and derivative products. I think one thing which, when I look back, I realized that I get very excited about creating new type of investment vehicles, and also just to brainstorm in what will, or what will not exist after a couple of years. And that trend has been pretty much in my last 16, 17 years of professional life, with European Union modeling to World Bank, carbon bonds, swaps, green bonds, a lot of liquidity products out there, to completely taking a new tranche and landing up in Nairobi to do the investment and communication technology projects out there. I'm talking about 2007 and 2008, when no one was even looking at it. I still remember the first time I made an investment recommendation in a fintech company back to the main headquarters. They're like, but this is Africa. Do they have food? How will they have mobile phones? And I'm like, no, this is a complete different world. So from there, going through this whole journey, and I remember this exactly what I talked to when I first met Joseph Lubin, whom we call Joe, an year and a half back in Napa. And he was like, you have been a very unconventional person. So how do you see this market? And we had a long 2.5, 3 hour conversation about it. And by the end of that conversation, he was like, you have such strong opinions. Why don't you just do it? And that's pretty much what triggered in my head that maybe this is the new unknown world and I should be part of it to create something.
Wow, that's I love that. Why don't you 2 or 3 hours sitting down having a conversation? I mean, I know how these conversations start, and I also know how they evolve, and I also know how they often end. They, to be speaking 2 to 3 hours with somebody like Joe would be phenomenal. And I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that conversation, and to get to the point where you are here. I mean, this is your world now. This is your domain, right? You're here. This is blockchain.
Yeah. And believe me, like when I started, like I thought Joe was joking. Like I was not from a deep blockchain world. I was not a crypto hedge fund guy. Like I was looking at blockchain because I'm a senior advisor at MIT Solve. There was a couple of blockchain technologies. So I had something to talk about. But Joe literally pointed out on my face that I have not done token trading at that point of time. So I think Joe is amazingly crazy to give me $50 million to experiment with this fund. I don't know anything else. And he gave me a great opportunity. And then I learned while on job. And but the beautiful thing is Consensys as a company is one of the most impressive ecosystem. When I joined, I just had so many people who were so open. Some of the first adopters of Ethereum who have been working on it 2.5 years already by that time. I'm talking about early last year, who were ready to sit down with me and just help me understand everything. So the combination of trust from Joe and the whole Consensys collaborative atmosphere made it happen.
Let's go into that in a little bit more detail. I mean, I believe it's built on the Ethereum platform, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Ethereum's been getting a pretty good beating the last few months, or most of the year, to be fair. It's kind of, when I talk about beating, I'm talking about, in a sense, the price. There's been, there's always a good news story when the price goes up. There's always a million people with bad news stories when the price goes down. From your point of view, I mean, obviously yourself, Joe, Joe being one of the people at the forefront of Ethereum when it first kicked off and doing all that he has done for that ecosystem. Has anything changed as far as, the surroundings? Is Ethereum still viewed as the same Ethereum that it was, say, this time last year? I mean, I see lots of good news coming out about it, but I also see lots of people's opinions changing. I know opinions don't change technology. Has anything changed? Has anything gone backwards?
Um, I haven't seen anyone going backwards. Actually, what I have seen is people being very smart when they now talk about tokens. So I think this is the adjustment, or this is the market movement. People in this technology side always knew was coming. We just didn't know when it was coming. I mean, something going this crazy in December and January has to come down somewhere to have a balance. So for me personally, from the venture side, what I've seen is now the pitches have gone a lot better. When people come and start talking about tokens, they have really thought through this, because they know if they're going to go out in this market to raise, it's a tough market.
It's got to be good.
Yeah. And I've also seen people started being open to doing a combination of equity and tokens and going back somewhere on a traditional route, not 100% traditional, but going back to raising equity round, while saying there is slowly going to be tokens. So token designs, number of tokens they're going to launch, the whole cycle has improved for good. So for me, I have been enjoying this part.
Look, I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, we saw that sort of boom through December, and January was probably the most ICO-centric period that I've seen. Just absolute madness, and everybody not everybody, but a lot of the general crypto public wanting to see 5, 6, 7, 10 times return quickly as soon as a listing. Now that's not a reality. I mean, we've been around long enough to know that turkeys don't fly in hurricanes for long. The hurricane passes, the turkey comes back down to earth. But I mean, it is fascinating to see how the pitches have changed. I do agree that good projects still have the ability to raise good money, but the way they're raising is different. And we can kind of segue into talking about traditional structures from VC, traditional raising models, but also a lot of people talking at the start of the year and then end of last year, talking about 2018 being the year of the institutions arriving to the space. Now, we are seeing institutions arriving into the space, hedge fund money, mostly boutique money, apart from Goldman Sachs having sort of appointed somebody as a head of blockchain development, or what, I can't remember the exact title, but basically the biggest of the investment banks putting their hands up and saying, we are now officially in this space with the GS logo. It's official. We're not buying companies, that are underneath us. We are officially there. So that's been good. Now, we are starting to see that institutional money come in, which is my point. It's coming in a different way, though. I think a lot of people thought that institutional money would come in and they'd all be wanting to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything would go up and it would be amazing. But that's just not how institutional money works. You talked about the, looking at equity and whatnot. Is that the way that you guys obviously are approaching your investment with the fund? And do you see that as being the beginning or the first wave of institutional money realistically?
I think I look at it from a different side. If I understand your question correctly, you're talking about how do we see institutional money coming?
How do we see it entering?
Yeah. So I think when the prices went up, so instead of a project, now this is a complete different way of look at the prices fluctuation, right? And I'm so glad you picked up this question right after following up the first one. The institution people looked, they really got their attention really got into it when they saw the prices and that movement in December and January. That gave them enough strength that there are so many of their clients, private wealth managers client, asking about what is happening, and a lot of people made money at that point of time, for them to start taking this market very seriously. And then suddenly from last October, we started hearing, or November, we started hearing news that a lot of big banks are investing into it. They're building teams to understand what's going on. They are supporting crypto hedge funds. They are also watching the market about derivative products on it, as we recently saw a couple of really big exchanges or banks going to SEC and different agencies to ask for different derivative products from forwards to futures based on Bitcoin or Ether. So the money going down is actually giving, I see, institutional capital to stay here, but giving them enough breathing room to figure out their strategy and to get people together. And I think they actually going to be responsible for very responsible investment model structures and derivative products to be available for accredited investors to go over next after some time. So I'm also very excited to see how they're going to move the needle on the liquidity products.
Yeah, I'm so glad that that was your answer, because I've had my own sort of thoughts around the market being down for a while now, and a lot of the people that are listening are purely there speculating, and I'm all good for that. Let's make money. That's great, but we're creating something new here. It's a completely, it can be a paradigm shift as to the way many things are done. I mean, it can be. I know we relate it to the internet a lot, and I've got a question at the very end about that with you. But I mean, it really can be something that changes a lot of the way we do things. And the fact that we're not seeing a huge amount of movement, like to the upside, we're seeing quite a bit of downside. I think it's good in the sense that before the next wave of investors come in, before the next wave of, there's a lot of people that are in traditional markets right now, trading stocks, bonds, shares, foreign exchange that just are not in the space yet. Now that money will come across, but before we're there, before we can bring that on properly, the products need to be created. And I agree with you that being suppressive with the prices right now, it keeps the market almost as the market is. It's not growing a great deal as far as new participants for the most part, which allows these projects to create proper ecosystems and products that will help us medium or short, medium, and long term. So that, I think that's, I'm really happy that you've got a similar sort of view to us. Now, I mean, question around your vision for blockchain, because I want to know what you see in this space. I mean, if this is going to truly be revolutionary, if this is truly going to change the way that the world operates, much the same as the internet, let's say, I mean, not many people, I mean, some of the very early adopters of the internet that were in there could see where we're at now. But it was a far-flung view way back in 1984, whatever it was when it first started. Now, we're kind of probably around that sort of stage now, or maybe a little bit beyond that. What's your actual vision for blockchain looking forward 10, 15, 20, 30, as many years forward as you want to go? Where can we get to in your eyes?
I think in 2030, even before that, the way this market is moving, I feel like in 7 to 10 years, nobody will even think about blockchain as something they need to understand. It's like today people use internet, they use mobile phone applications. My parents don't ask me what TCP/IP is or what is internet is or how am I getting all this information. They just know the name of the applications. So blockchain is going to become such an underlining infrastructure layer on everything which we're going to use, that the next generation will just know that when they use it, they have their data to themselves. This is just the way internet is. And I think once we reach there, which is a seamless integration in everything, no friction for the new users, I think people who have created it, like Joe and Vitalik, they have done the job.
It's kind of like if you sort of want to do a comparison, which I love. I love comparing things. I love giving different analogies. But I mean, the world didn't know that we needed to have a telephone and a computer in one until Steve Jobs came out on that stage and showed us that we needed it. Now look at us go. There's a whole ecosystem around just that the one up all those two applications coming together, the iPhone, and then of course Androids. But that's what created. We didn't know we needed it until it was introduced to us. Now, people like you and I have been introduced to this. The world is starting to catch on, but it is well. In all honesty, it's happening very, very quickly. Everything happens very, very quickly in this space. Speaking of things that are moving quickly, your fund, okay, the fund that you're, I guess, managing, running, being a part of, whatever you want to call it. Is there any particular area within the blockchain and crypto asset space that you guys are focused on? I know your background is very much on disruptive technology and the words are escaping me, but new markets and new opportunities that are pretty disruptive. What areas do you see? Because look, there's problems that will need to be solved in 5 years that don't need to be solved now. So it's about what you're looking at the right time. What areas are you guys seeing at the moment as being the areas to be focused on?
Yeah, so we are Ethereum focused fund. We also look at blockchain agnostic technologies on infrastructure, security, etc. We do anything and everything on Ethereum across the stack, which could be infrastructure layer, networking layer. It could be applications, security, liquidity. So if we look at our portfolio, we have projects from Vault, which is a smart mobile application, which hopefully going to be one of the first mobile app to be on Apple Store, to Dada, which is art collectible, to we have BlockFi, which is a crypto lending platform, to TrueX, which is working on the first forwards and futures on Ether. Then we have the technology layer solutions, which we have been working closely. We also support a lot of open source project. So we invest across everything. But if you have to ask me what I'm really excited about, I think I'm very excited about a lot of blockchain agnostic scalability solutions, and also blockchain interoperable, which gonna end up creating scalability at the end of the day. I also very interested in projects which are providing a easy UX UI solution to all the developers, because as you just took an example of Steve Jobs and the phone, all our world is mobile today. And for the longest time, blockchain technology stayed on web with respect to web applications, and nobody really had a great mobile application. So when I look at it, yes, we need to, on the infrastructure side, we need great scalability solution, which could be state channels, or which could be great efficient network protocol layers, which can make the packets runs faster. Or we have places on sharding, whether it's stalking or snarking, like different methods of looking at that. On the second side, we also then a layer above that, we need really great custody solutions, because custody is still a problem, whether you call it in security, whether you put it on application layer, between hot wallet versus cold wallet, we still don't have the perfect solution. Then when we go for the seamless integration, a very good combination between private chains and public chains, so that we don't have to use blockchain for everything. So we don't have to store our data out there. So how do we do a very good optimization between private chain and public chain? And then take a level above that, how do I have decentralized database solution with an amazing search meta tags, which can make the world an easy place, the way Google revolutionized the Google search, made internet friendly to everyone? What is that going to be for blockchain?
And do you have any answers for us?
I wish I had something to announce, but I can say I'm very excited about this one project and stealth we have invested into. So I'm hoping they're going to be the one.
Well, I hope it is too, and I hope we can have a chat about that. But look, aside from that, I mean, you pretty much answered a question that I had. I mean, was going to ask you about, what's the progression look like to get to where we need to get? I mean, you basically just did the Apple iPhone, the iPhone and the mobile phone and the internet computer together, and answered my question before I needed to get them. And you literally just nailed that. And you're a mind reader as well. One other thing you can put on your LinkedIn profile. I guess we've talked about the beauty of the space. We've talked about the potential of the space. What, if anything, can hurt us? Where is the biggest threat? I mean, if we're going to talk about doing business and we're going to talk about creating something new, we're going to be upsetting some people and upsetting some industry. The ones that are, sort of asleep at the wheel are going to crash, and the ones that are innovative and able to adapt are going to do well. I mean, that's just business 101. So what do we see as being the major threats for the space? Is there anything so big? I mean, most people talk about governments, I talk about regulation. I think that, yes, there is some validity to that, but the language seems to be changing to more understanding or more positive across many different jurisdictions or many different countries. The other thing beautiful about blockchain is that it is not a centralized area. It's not akin to any one country. So, I mean, what do you see as the biggest threat to the space?
I think combination of things. So first is if this space will continue to have a lot of fake projects for quick money, it will take away the attention of the beauty of technology, and it will get a lot of legal issues for anyone to even think about the space. I think that's taking care of itself in a very organic manner. The other big one, which is my fear, my personal fear maybe, is a lot of big companies who already exist in this space, and I don't want to take names, but like the top 5-10 software companies which has been ruling the world, they have created their wealth by owning people's data. So this technology is definitely the biggest threat to their existence. And most of them have announced that they have blockchain groups, or they are creating their own blockchain to be progressive about it. But I'm scared that they're going to end up creating a hybrid blockchain, which is still going to control the data identity of people. And they will still be termed under blockchain without really people enjoying the benefit of it. So I'm very scared about that. And I'm also scared because you can pass anything today as blockchain and there could be criticism about it, but these are strong forces. And the third thing is, I feel like a little bit more unity within the blockchain community and more collaborativeness within the blockchain community would really help all of them to go an extra mile with a little bit less effort. So yeah, those three things.
Yeah. So basically, monopolies being maintained would be a threat, which is, the whole internal blockchain process. They own the data, they've made the money from it, and yeah, I think as well. Sometimes I feel like, the market itself, the blockchain space itself, it's got a split personality. One's very friendly and collaborative, and the other one's just an absolutely psycho that you do not want to go near. There's wielding a big butcher's knife, and that one lives online. Doesn't live face to face so much. That one lives online. So it's a double edged sword. But I tend to agree with that. So. I mean, you guys at the moment at Consensys are doing a huge amount. There is so much going on. I mean, I believe we mentioned earlier that you've got an accelerator that you've just launched. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes. So Tachyon is the name of the accelerator, which is a particle faster than speed of light. This is a name which, of course, Joe Lubin thought of. So I want to give him full credit for it. What in last 1 year doing VC, what we realize being in the market is there are a lot of really, really smart people who are now moving, serial entrepreneurs, people with very strong tech background are now moving into the space, but they're still early. So either they are in a very cushion job at some of the top companies and they have great idea, they have great technical skills from the traditional Web 2.0 world, Web 2.0 world coming in, and they're still trying to learn how to make that transition. Or we had people who actually were early with their ideas, and those ideas were so big that they needed a big ecosystem support. So we decided that if we can't do VC funding, VC investment in these, we still really want to work with these amazing entrepreneurs. And that pushed us to create an Ethereum focused, blockchain focused accelerator, which can provide the whole ecosystem a 2 month window to how consensus work, how blockchain world works, while also giving them a lot of advisory from our friends and network from Google, Facebook, Uber, etc., product people, designer people, to come and talk to them and say, this is how market works and product works and customer acquisition works. So I was really getting deeper and deeper into creating this whole community and ecosystem. And that's got us to design Tachyon. We launched it on May 11th at Ethereal, which is our Consensys annual flagship event. And we have got around 178 applications. We just closed the application this Monday. We are very excited that we got this many for our first cohort. I wasn't sure about it. And we're going to pick 15 companies. They're going to spend 2 months with us in San Francisco. And we have people from Web 2.0. We have people coming from Consensys, founders from MetaMask, Truffle, Infura, people like Joseph Chow, Gonzalo, Jerome, who are like some of the earliest adopters of the technology and have been protocol engineers, coming together and working with all these amazing entrepreneurs across the world. And it's a truly international, global cohort because we haven't announced the companies, but there are a lot of companies from Europe, Israel, India, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. So I'm very excited about it.
That's awesome. I mean, just the fact that you've created that platform. I mean, it's all about helping others to step up. You've obviously got an amazing network with everybody that you work with at Consensys and beyond. I mean, yourself and Joe have got a wide, very expansive, understanding of the space. And I would love to see your little black book. I'm sure it's full of wonderful people that can help a lot of business. So that's going to keep your hands full, I'm sure. The people going through, I'm not sure if it's you must have a short list you go through, but 178 projects. That's a mighty lot of projects. Good luck with that. I'm sure you'll find some absolute gems. I suppose that's the point of it. The second thing I've heard recently, because the fund that you had originally come to be a part of was closed. I hear you are now working on an external money fund. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that? Because I'm fascinated to learn about that one.
Yeah, sure. So the first fund, we still have capital to deploy from there, but it's a pre-seed, seed stage fund, and it's a Consensys proprietary fund. That's where we started from. We built our track record. And the first time Consensys has been open, Joe graciously has allowed us to raise money externally. So we are doing a second fund, which is $100 million fund, which is pretty much closed now. And this is going to be for post-seed and Series A. It's mostly the growth fund. And I think we're going to make a big announcement with respect to operations of it by the end of this year. We just saw in the market that a lot of companies in last year and a half have moved towards the growth stage. And for strategic partners, they're still open to take both equity and advisory token investments to grow the business, to actually build it up, accelerate it. So there are a lot of great opportunities, and we were not able to do $5-10 million check from Ventures first fund. So this is going to be a great opportunity, and I'm very excited about a couple of very smart, active blockchain LPs coming from around the world. It's a very global fund.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you have got your hands full. And it sounds like you'll be spending a lot more time on airplanes in the next 18 to 24 months and probably beyond, because there is a lot of work to be done within this space, which is a very, very exciting one. And the last thing I want to ask you, Kavita, is coming back to what I said before about how it's blockchain is very much compared to the internet. And in 1993, of course, the internet was around before 1993, but that was when we started to see it come to, I guess, mainstream. It started to be used. Commerce was done. There was applications being built that we were actually able to use as human beings, not just with these supercomputers, but with a computer on a desktop. The world of the internet and working on that space was actually brought to us. Now, from 1993 to the year 2000, we saw a huge amount of growth, and of course, the subsequent boom and bust in the year 2000. Now, Obviously, we're seeing a huge amount of development in blockchain. Where do you think we are? If we were to compare the internet 1993 to the year 2000, where would you put blockchain right now in that spectrum of years, that 7-year period?
It's at a very early, naive stage. It's a technology which we are very excited has moved Silicon Valley, governments, financial sector, corporates at the same time. Like it has never happened in the history that all of them are excited talking about it. It's a buzzword everywhere. But we still don't have any mainnet application which we can use for anything which affects our daily life. So that's also the reality. So the way I see it is over an year, um, by Q2 of next year, we're going to see a lot of application. That's going to be our testing ground to see the adoption. And from there, I think this market should pick up with respect to new adopters coming in the space, so the seamless integration of your fiat payment system. I do think the first burst has already happened with respect to crypto. The technology will keep on going through evolution with Web 4.0 or Web 5.0. People were already talking about considering saying, hey, we are looking for next platforms on blockchain. I'm like, hey, can we just put some applications on mainnet before you already move on? So um, I think on the technology wise, we should be seeing a lot of upswing next year. Then we should see a sort of, then maybe an year after that, we're going to see people figuring out what's next with it, or what are the individual companies are then going to go through the aggregating stage. But with respect to crypto, I think this burst has already happened. It has to be an upswing after 3-4 months. That's what I personally feel. And is there going to be another burst? Completely depends upon all those speculators sitting in Asia.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you saying we're post 2000 in that respect?
Yes.
I guess it's a bit of a double-edged sword question. I mean, look, if we're talking about the technology, we're probably still very much in 93, 94. If we're talking about the way that the market boomed and then subsequently bust, well, we've seen a big boom and a bust. I mean, will we see? Well, we just don't know. If we do get major, use cases, and the world does come through with the next wave, if that does happen, there will be another cycle, I believe, if the media gets behind it and if the world allows it to actually happen, in the sense that we can actually use it. If there's a real need to have these different tokens and whatnot, and cryptocurrencies as well, then of course, if there's a need to have it beyond just pure speculation, then there's room for anything. So I really appreciate that. So your interesting answer is beyond 2000. And I do understand where you're coming from. But thank you so much. We finally got you on the show. It's been a long time waiting, but definitely worthwhile. Is there anything else that you wanted to say, Kavita, before we wrap the show up?
No, first of all, thank you so much, Craig, for having me. It has been such a pleasure. I've actually heard a couple of your sessions before I came, and it has always been very, very educational. So thank you so much for having me. Please do give me a chance to come to Sydney. Uh, and I just want to say that I think we are at a very, very interesting place when it comes to the blockchain technology, because it definitely has the power to change the way we look at data, privacy, security, and money completely, which has that revolution has not happened over 200, 300 years. Now, what I am really fascinated is how we as human and people with our behavior is going to turn it into the next big positive movement or something which is fishy. So let's touch base in an year's time and figure that out.
Well, hopefully touch base before then, Kavita. Where can people find out more information about what you're doing, how to plug into your brain bank and everything that's going on in your space? How would they find out more information about the fund or everything that you do?
Yes, so we are consensys.vc, consensysventures.vc. So please do find us online. For Tachyon is Tachyon, so Tachyon cv.vc. And I am available at Kavita Gupta 19 on Twitter. So please follow us.
Wonderful. Again, I will thank you one more time. Kavita Gupta, it's been an absolute pleasure. Founding managing partner at Consensys. That is SYS on the end, not consensus. So find the links, tune in, and I look forward to bringing you to Sydney. I will find a reason.
Perfecto. Thank you so much, Greg.
Thanks, guys. Bye for now.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast. Check out tradercobb.com because experience matters.